Hello everyone. Now I wanted to go through our van with you and just show you a couple of modifications that we've done. As you can see, this is our Jayco van. It's a 2006 model that we bought a couple of years ago. I've done lots and lots of things to it, a lot of rebuilt stuff plus a lot of modifications. So in this video I'd just like to show you a few modifications I've done, maybe of interest, and we'll get ready to hit the road very shortly. After 2 years of being fairly confined, we'll soon get out there. Okay, let's have a look at the first modification. Right, well, the first mod I did, this proves my love of Anderson plugs. Now, looking at the picture there, on the right hand side is actually an Anderson plug that goes direct to the battery via a 50 amp circuit breaker of the caravan. I use a battery drill to screw in my tent pegs, so forth. The battery's no good in it, so I've modified it for an Anderson, and I can just plug it in there and use any external device from the van battery via that Anderson plug. That's the black one on the right. The one on the left, the black one on the left, is a solar input for my solar blanket, which is actually paralleled up with the other solar panel that I put on the roof, so I can have both going at once. Or if I haven't got the one on the roof at the time, I can plug my blanket into that top plug on the left hand side. Just enables me to a convenient spot to plug our blanket into. The one underneath, the red one, is the fridge that connects to the back of my ute to the normal socket at the back of the ute. So that describes that one. The next little thing was, when we got the van, there was a really horrible plastic plug on it. It was full of rust. The fridge wire had been burning. So a trip to Super Cheap Auto soon sorted that out. They had these metal plugs, and boy, that is a really good thing. Very, very happy with it. Just available from Super Cheap, not that expensive, and certainly better than the plastic ones. Underneath the awning, originally there was a cigarette lighter socket. I took that one off and replaced it with this one, just dual USB and a cigarette lighter, so that at least we can sit out under the awning and you can charge your phone or tablet or whatever device you have from outside, as there was no other USB outlets. Now, the do not overtake turning vehicle sign, not on a lot of caravans yet, but certainly will become commonplace in the future. Covers you at roundabouts if you're going around a roundabout. Well, if you decide to take up a couple of lanes to get around, it covers you in case there's someone up beside you there and you merge into them. Very important thing, actually. So yeah, that's something to be aware of. So definitely a do not overtake turning vehicle sign on the back of your van, so I've been told. And we bought a ball lock, just in case someone decides to flog off with the old girl. This may stop them just hooking on and going, but of course, if they really want to take it, any van, they will. But this is a little bit of a deterrent. A definite add-on for any gas installation, it's a gas fuse. It does show you how much gas you roughly have got in your cylinder, as well as protects you if there's a sudden leak, a leak in a line, or a stone goes through a line, or something like that. This will shut your gas off immediately. So yes, definitely something that's well worth it. This one I just made up a couple of fittings for the hose, a filler hose, and also what I bought was a litre meter, so I know how many litres we're pumping into the van, into the tanks. It's just a handy little thing to have. Now this little fella, invaluable. He's mounted in the boot. It's a little light, just with an on-off switch, just in the boot at the front of the caravan. Very, very handy at night when you maybe pull up in the dark or something and you're looking for things, which did happen to us actually. And there was no light, and rather than run around for a torch or something, I just mounted a little LED light, and from the caravan power, we just put a switch in line with it. A very, very handy little add-on. And while I was in the boot, I printed out and laminated the wire code for the plug, the caravan plug at the front, just in case something happens, gets ripped off, you get a loose wire, you're trying to work out what's what. Pretty handy just to have something like that just at the front of your caravan somewhere. We've got a boot at the front, but wherever it's convenient. Not much to say about this one. It's just where I mounted my diesel tank. We've got a little cheap Chinese heater, and this is how the tank fitted in. Lots of people fit them at the back as well, so wherever that's convenient. Well, this is something that everyone should have in their van no matter what, the fire blanket. At the moment we've fitted ours just at the boot at the front, but probably not the right position for it. We're going to relocate it inside the van somewhere, but not real sure what would be the most convenient place. If it's near the kitchen and there's a kitchen fire, you can't get to the blanket. So any comments on that, of where you've put your blanket, be much appreciated. Just not real sure the most convenient place when there's a fire happening. I guess it depends on where the fire is. But anyway, comments are welcome. The kitchen was a little bit dark. This is a picture of the front of the van, just above the kitchen, and I put 2 rows of strip lighting in, just strip LEDs. Wow, what a difference that made. I've just got a little on-off switch, which is the orange one there in the picture, and it works like a dream. Totally changed the kitchen. Now this panel I made out of an old box, an old aluminium box. What it is an amp meter, voltmeter, and the battery, the actual battery state. Up the top, I'll go through this. At the top, S1 is solar panel 1 and S2 solar panel 2. Now I can have 2 panels at once, one on the roof and one on the front of the caravan that you saw connected. I can either switch them in parallel, so you've got 21 volts by, which is parallel, it doubles our amps, or I can switch them for a little bit more efficient and longer lasting charging with series connect, so we get 48 volts going into our, or 44 volts going into our MPPT Victron charger. So it's a little bit more efficient, but that's just the way that I've done that one. Both the meters just come from eBay. They're cheapies, and it just does the job. Now this fella, also another eBay cheapie. We had no USB ports near the front of the van. There was only one down the back, fairly high up above the bed. And of course it'd be nice to just plug your phone in just at the front of the van near the kitchen. So I put one of these fellas in. You'll also see I had an old UHF laying around. We put it in, put an aerial up, which means you can talk from the caravan to the four-wheel drive at any time. Okay, here we've got a little inverter power point. Now, all this is a power outlet that the cable runs down to our inverter. Unfortunately, our inverter is very difficult to get to under the side of the bed, so I decided to run a cable from it up to the kitchen area, so at least you can plug smaller items into the inverter. It's only a 400 watt inverter, which is fairly small. We've got a 3 kilowatt inverter in the vehicle, so we don't need a bigger one in the caravan. The next thing I fitted in was a water level sensor, and the display makes it easy to just know how much water we had in the tank. Did a bit of a calibration, and just as per the picture, just shoved it up there. So our van, being an older van, had no sensors or any water levels in it at all. Next up, we fitted a couple of USB chargers just above each side of our bed. Very handy at night to be able to have your phone close handy, but meanwhile charging it. As you can see, we also fitted a little basket just above it, so you can slip your phone in there. All eBay stuff, cheap, but by gee, very handy at the time. Now this one is just a little smoke detector we bought locally. It had quite an old one in the caravan, and that's one of those things that you should have. It's a smoke and gas detector. One thing that you just have to have in a caravan. And of course you've got to have entertainment. We bought this little smart TV from Aldi actually, and it's a great little thing. Good for USB sticks and HDMI inputs and all that sort of stuff. Once again, not an expensive one, but works extremely well, better than the old analog one that was in the van. And the diesel heater. Wow, what a magic piece of gear these things are. This was about $150, and honestly, it changed our life in the caravan. Boy, do these things work well. Incredible things for the money. They just work so damn well. Definitely an add-on to any old van or your workshop. Don't know about a house, but if you're in a workshop, these would be a great add-on. They're fantastic. These little fellas are a wireless thermometer. Pretty handy too. This one's got two sensors, one for the freezer and the other part for the bottom of the fridge. And I've just velcroed it to the wall when we're travelling. Just take him off the wall of the caravan and sit him on the dash of the ute, so you can always keep an eye on the temperature. Now this is just our setup. Everyone's got their own views on what they use for charging their batteries, etc. We've just got an AGM 100 amp hour battery, which is just under the bed. I've mounted, this is at the side of the bed actually, I've mounted a Victron MPPT. It's a smaller controller, but it's only rated at 15 amps. That's all we're pushing in from our solar panels, so we don't need any more than that. That's our inverter. Only a 400 watt inverter, as I said, runs a shaver or something like that. Just smaller stuff, up to 400 watts. So anything greater than that, we use the other inverter in the back of the ute. So there's our setup as far as the battery's concerned. A couple of circuit breakers there and a fuse block. Please, if you're doing any wiring in the van, please always put circuit breakers or fuses in the line you're doing. Me being a tech from the last 50 years, have learnt that things can go horribly wrong unless you put in your circuit breaker, especially with high current 12 volt. And this one, unusual one, I mounted a broomstick under the bed as a prop, so that when you push the bed up, we'll stay up, because our struts are so-so, and we've got a very heavy mattress on there as well. So yeah, just a little bit of an add-on, and we're not running around looking for something to prop the bed up with. Okay, well, we've got one of these old gas electric type fridges. We've been told that a couple of fans on the vent at the outside of the van helps the cooling of the top evaporator. I think that's what it's called, up the top. So we put a couple of computer fans up behind the vent at the top, and I've also got an on-off switch which I mounted there in the fridge itself, so I can turn that feature on or off. Not sure whether this works fantastically or not. We'll probably upgrade to a 12-volt fridge later on anyway, but yeah, we've yet to see whether this idea that everyone talks about actually works if the weather ever warms up. We changed all our lighting, both inside and outside, to all LEDs. I think that's a pretty good upgrade. These fellas, I think they're a T10 wedge type that goes in the roof. They use a fraction of the power compared to incandescent ones. We've got pretty flash here. We just fitted some LED strip lighting around the bottom of the caravan door. Just looks pretty good at night. It's multicoloured, cycles the colours, etc. Looks really groovy if you're having a party. Now, one thing we did here was we actually removed the caravan kitchen table, or dining table, whatever you like to call it. As you can see where it was on the floor there, there just wasn't enough room in the front of the van, and so we thought, well, we'll just get a little blow moulded table, one of those ones from Bunnings, and we can just set him up when we need him. Otherwise, if we're watching telly or something, you can pack him up. A lot more room in the van, plus you can just take the table outside if you need to. It made our life a lot easier without having a table and jamming in behind it all the time just to sit on the lounge. Also, being an older van, it had no camera on the back, no reversing rear view camera, so we put in one of these. This one is actually a wireless camera. There's a little transmitter up in the boot at the front of the van, and it just transmits to a little monitor that sits on the dash in the ute. So there's actually no wiring required for this one between the van and the ute. Probably not the best of quality, certainly not these days, but does the job. You can see what's behind you. That's the main thing. Well, guys, that's about it for the walkthrough of our little caravan, the Jayco Destiny 2006 model. You may have picked up a few things that we've done that might be interesting, but this is just what I've done for us that just makes life a little bit easier in an old van. She's an oldie but a goodie. We've also replaced things like the wheel bearings and the brakes, electric brake magnets. We've done lots of little things around it, so mechanically, and yeah, it's only done a couple of trips so far, but so far it's been really good. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give us a like. If you'd like to follow us with the next video, which will be a little bit of a walkthrough with my ute, the Hilux, what I've done in the back of it as far as power and so forth, the inverter, battery. So yeah, if you wanted to keep an eye on that, hit the subscribe button and the little bell, they tell me, because you'll get a notification when I put the video up. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.